So the plan, I was going to tell you a little bit about our process, and then I did send you the details of the new curriculum, but I also wanted to sort of put it in topic buckets to have a conversation about. So I am going to share my screen. Unless you have, is there anything else you'd like to do? Does that seem reasonable?
I think that's reasonable.
Seems good to me.
Yep.
Wait, I don't know if I have the right. Just a second. I think I might have the wrong share. Desktop too. Okay. So can you see my desktop that has the kind of this black and blue kind of thing on it? Can you see that? Okay.
Yep.
So what we did is we sort of looked at our curriculum as there's intro class, and then there's the culminating experience, which is our senior project. And then there's sort of topics this is all industrial engineering. So topics we cover in industrial engineering. And what we did is sort of break up into groups to look at how can we sort of reorder the courses in these particular topic areas. Some of them were pretty easy, like human factors and business processes, but the others were a little bit more challenging. And so each of the subgroups kind of got together and reordered and put in different units, et cetera, to the courses. And it was like most of the time we tried to get a group of 3 courses that we could group into 2 courses, because that seems like the easiest kind of conversions. And so that's kind of where we went. And then this is sort of where we are right now in the semester conversion. So if you look at the various buckets, we increased production systems a bit in the percentage, and everything else decreased just slightly. And it might be easier to, just a second, to show kind of side by side. So this is what it looks like side by side, and then this is the percentage change in these kind of buckets. And I think one of the biggest places where we had a change, I guess percentage wise, was in this production systems. And I'm wondering if Jill can sort of explain the thinking in those classes and maybe go over what happened in that particular area. Jill, you're here, right?
Yes. Yeah, so those classes include our IME 101 classes, which is your introduction to industrial and manufacturing engineering, our IME 223 classes, which is our process improvement course. And right now, both industrial engineers and manufacturing engineers take those courses. And so we wanted to keep them. Both will be expanded to, with the extra 5 weeks, we can cover more content in some, and in some cases just go deeper into some of the existing content. One of the big changes that we're going to recommend is that 223 turn into a 100 level class. And that's a course that the students would take their second semester of their freshman year. So that sets them up a little bit better for getting an internship after their first year. And then the other 3 classes in that area are 410 production planning, 417, which is supply chain, and 443, which is facilities management. And we debated this for a while and looked at a couple of different scenarios, but ultimately decided that all 3 of them were critical and foundational for our students. And there's opportunity to include more content in each. And so it would do our students a disservice to just condense them into 2 classes when we aren't even covering everything we want within the quarter system. So for example, in IME 410, we touch on ERP right now, And in a semester system, we can spend a lot more time in ERP systems. So we decided to keep all 3 of those courses as semester-long 4-unit courses. The other change there that is notable is that 410 and 443 we would like for them to drop down to the junior level, because those are other really important classes for internships. So those will jump out of the 400 level and into the 300 level. Ginny's here too. Did I cover everything, Ginny?
Jill, can I ask a quick question then, Rue? It seems I like the keeping of the foundational elements to IME, because I think it's kind of core to who IEs end up being down the road. It seems to me like, so 101 isn't really in that production systems. It's more on the introductory pieces, but it looked like the business processes had decreased a little bit.
You mean do you mean 223 or which one? Which courses?
I was looking at the slide that Liz was presenting, and it showed that business process was dropping down like 0.2% or something like that. And I was just wondering where that was from.
That is financial decision making for engineers, the engineering economy class.
Oh, the business process. I see it. Yeah.
So that was, and it actually was right now it's a 3-unit, and it's going to a 2-unit, which is an equal change, an equal unit. But because we've added to production systems, the percentage of the total is a little bit less. So it's not like it actually changed. It's just the proportion changed a bit.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I like what you've done with that then. That totally makes sense to me.
Okay. So I guess my question is, does this shift, or does this sort of percentage topic coverage in the second column, does that seem like something reasonable? Would that be something, do you think we need to think differently about that, or?
Yeah, Liz, I got a couple of questions. First, I think it's great that you're trying to prepare the students better and earlier for internships. That's a huge win in my mind. I like the structure of all this, but in the back of my head, I keep thinking, what would other semester-based industrial engineering programs look like? Would this be radically different than you would get at Berkeley or Pomona or Arizona or places like that? Do you have a sense for how it would compare?
Liz, you're muted if you're talking.
Karen Bangs had, in the meeting that I had with her, she had a comparison against other IME programs. So Dave, I know that exists. Whether it exists in this particular format right now, I don't know, but I know it did exist one time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would say that we have done that multiple times. And I think that thing that Karen had was actually probably 10 years old. One of the things that we actually seem to be a little bit different than others is the focus on data analytics in the undergrad area. Most IE programs don't do that. Also, a place like Berkeley has a lot more OR because they actually are IE and OR. I know that Mohammed looked and found that almost every industrial engineering program has a facilities design class. So we have been looking at, what are the other places doing? And I think we kind of have done that multiple times. We might want to go back and have that explain it a little bit more. But also, I think we're probably trying to be a little bit better at it, the idea of having data analytics in the undergrad level.
I'm very impressed that you're doing that, and you're ahead of the pack, and everyone else is going to have to catch up to you. So good job.
That's our plan. Yeah.
I had a question too, and I definitely agree that data analytics is very important. And the supply chain of just where companies are moving and what's good to understand going into industry. The only thing I was wondering, and I can't even remember, is project management, was that a technical elective before?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it is now, but maybe, how many years, Liz, has it been? But that we made it a tech elective, like 3, I think.
No, longer than that.
Oh, has it been longer? Okay, but it was definitely required there. And then it switched about maybe 4 years ago to a tech elective.
Yeah, well, we made, because we needed to make room for data analytics, we needed to drop out a couple things, and we dropped out that, and then also the cost estimating and control.
239. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess one question I would have about 223, pulling it sooner into the curriculum, is the first year students getting an internship. I mean, how realistic that sounds. And if it's something that's, would they be marketable with that course only? I know it's even hard for me sometimes to motivate my 223 students today to get their resumes done and get over to the career fair. They're really don't think they're ready. They seem so early on in their education, even at their second year. So I can imagine that we would really need to help them with that process. If we were going to say, let's pull in 223 to be in the first year to help them with their internship. So I guess my feedback or my question is, does that seem like something that's realistic to hire a first year engineering student for an internship?
I have something to say about that. So when I was at Cal Poly, I was involved in a lot of the orgs. So like NSBE, SWE, SHIP, just related to having leadership in NSBE. I think that through organizations, some companies are more willing to hire lower underclass students in their first and second year. I've seen it. My brother is studying at UCLA right now, and he had an internship with Google after his first year. So I don't think it's as common, but I would say that it happens. It happens enough.
We were just talking
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to tell Jenny, we were just talking, I had career services in my 101 class today, and we were just talking about how they could format their resume, and even adding the trail mix project from 101 is something that they can talk about at the career fair. So 223 will give them another opportunity in their freshman year.
I would say that Lamb's hired freshmen as interns in the past. My son, who is computer science, also had an internship his freshman year.
All right. Thank you.
But I do think, to Jenny's point, a lot of people, like I transferred into IE. What do you think the effect of that will be on, I actually switched majors, but what would the effect be on people who switch majors or people who transfer from community college?
That's really great. I think one of the things that the university is focusing on is not having too many lower division, which is 100 and 200 major courses. And so, but switching from a 200 to a 100 is not going to necessarily, I'm talking about community college transfers, not internal transfers. But it is something we're attending to. And you're right, if people are always taking that freshman year, it's going to be hard for people who are changing into the major to get that course. So it's a good point, thinking about that.
Another question on it is that I have is, does this protect the same kind of percentage of credit hours that are lab-based versus what it is today? Is this an increase in lab hours, or is this a decrease, or is it the same?
One of the things is we are not going to be able to increase. Well, we want to keep them the same, and they're pretty much the same right now. We're accounting for that because the way a teacher gets paid is they get paid for more money for a lab than they do for a lecture. And we can't add any faculty with this new thing. So we're really watching the lab balance, and it's remaining about the same.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
I was just going to say some of the conversations that go on. We haven't made anything specific, but reducing lecture hours from 3 to 2 a week, or reducing labs from 3 to 2 also. So depending on the course and the material, maybe there is an opportunity to have like an activity instead of a lab, or just less lecture hours per week.
So I actually have a question too about manufacturing content in IE, because we sort of dropped it a bit, a little bit less. We have the one required class, which is the 1147, which is the same as IME 144. It's a machining class with 2 labs and 2 lectures, and that's gonna also be that we're gonna have that course, and then we're gonna have them take either an option of one of the 3 other manufacturing processes classes, and it's actually a sort of a net decrease. And I was just wondering what you all thought of that change.
I'm sorry, Liz, did you say that was for the manufacturing engineers, or was there a decrease in the IE piece for the casting and machining class?
It was a decrease in manufacturing topics for industrial engineers. So we're decreasing that a little bit. And I was just wondering what you all thought of that for IEs. Manufacturing has plenty of it, but for IEs.
So it's interesting when I interview IEs from different programs. One of the things that differentiates the IEs from Cal Poly is they actually can talk to most of the machining practices that are being done in like pilot or in the machining world. And that's a significant differentiator. Now, if we only limit a little bit of the content and not drop any of the topics that are taught, then I'm good with that.
Well, what we're going to do is they're going to have a choice between NetShape, which is foundry, electronic manufacturing, or welding. So students are going to be able to choose that. Before they had to take electronic manufacturing and they had to take casting. And so we're sort of decreasing that and giving them an option of taking one of those. So they might not have the same content. They might not take electronic manufacturing.
I support the change.
Okay. Yeah. They're going to have 2 courses in it, one 4-unit course and one 1-unit course. So does anyone else from the faculty have anything they want to particularly ask about? I know, Karen, you joined us. Did you have anything you want to? She's sort of leading up the IE portion.
No, I don't have anything to add at this point.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, is there anything else you want to? I don't know. Like if we
this is Dave again. One thing that jumped into my mind was, we're always working as an IAB trying to think 3, 5, 10 years out or whatnot, and it seems like you guys have done a great job of taking what we have in hand and reformulating it, rearranging it to fit this new model. But if you kind of close your eyes and open them up in 2026, is there any new content that we would have wanted to provide by then anyway? And have we made space for that anywhere in this curriculum? Or is that something that maybe we could talk about as an IAB faculty get together in December? I just, the pace of change is so fast, and all we have is the classes we have today. But what's out there that we want to make sure we provide for? I think that the analytics piece is certainly a part of that. But what else is out there that we might want to make room for?
The things I would think of, that's a great question. This is Florence, would be the Internet of Things and sensors and how that changes design. and security issues related to that. Augmented reality, extended reality, virtual reality, and the more that that's going to come to play. So those are the things that come to mind for me. But that could be in computer science, and they can take them there maybe, or another program. Would they be covered elsewhere at the college?
We don't have listed here all of our technical electives.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have an Internet of Things course, and
I thought so. Okay.
yeah. But
And
it's
we
a
do
good
talk
question.
about augmented reality and some of the other courses just as topics for it, not necessarily as structured class time.
Yeah, I
Neat
don't know.
thought of how we blend that in though, right?
Yeah, I think that would be interesting either as it would be fun in a lab environment if you could get some cool technology for them to play with, right?
Yeah, it would. Everybody
Yeah.
would want to take it, wouldn't they?
Yes, they would. And you guys would be ahead of it again. How cool is that? So, yeah, I think thinking through that and maybe some industry partners that could help you put a lab together could be a lot of fun.
Do we have any idea of industry partners that would be willing to do that? I struggle with that piece because that is exactly how we would need to get it going, right? Some seed money from a company.
So there is liberal arts and engineering studies on campus does some AR, VR things. And so students can take those classes. And also an exciting thing is we just got permission to hire a new tenure track line in that area in usability, the sort of an ergonomics usability, VR, AR kinds of things that cross over with data analytics and human factors. So I think it's worthwhile, and we sort of are strategically thinking about that with new faculty hires, but we don't have it built in the program. That's true, unless it's in technical electives.
Yeah, I think I think that's great that you're already thinking about it. There are potential partners in Google or maybe Microsoft. I know from a practical perspective, Medtronic is looking at it in their, industrial and manufacturing space. I would bet there are some other players on the IAB that are starting to look at it. I don't know which ones. I don't know if J&J is looking at it. So those are some ideas, but somebody could do like a little research, a little lit review, and see what they can find maybe.
We know what where ABET stands in 4, 5, 6 years from now. Are they going to be looking for anything different than what they're looking for today?
So ABET is sort of outcomes driven. So they don't really, they pretty much are established through IISE, establishes industrial engineering outcomes. So I don't think those are changing very much. ABET also is concerned that we're offering enough math and science and engineering. So we're also trying to track that in the development of the curriculum. But they're not really forward. They're not as forward looking as I would hope they would be. ABET isn't. But I think that Tally and I did a study about 10 years ago. That was the one that Karen, I think, showed you when you met with her. And it was kind of hard to actually get your arms around, like, what is the future looking like? I mean, you can imagine it's very difficult. And what keeps coming up for me are issues of sustainability and climate change if we look ahead 10 or 20 years. And I'm a little worried that's not included too much in here. But, and I'm wondering if that seems like something we might want to consider.
That could be fun, maybe from the applied side, right? So it could be in smarter buildings or in energy grids or like whatever, areas or domains that you want them to learn about. That would be fun. And then the materials side of it, I guess you could talk about. Batteries are a big issue, and all this stuff we make needs power, doesn't it? So, there depends on how far you want to go. And I have to apologize. I have a 6:30 meeting I have to go to, a call. But this is really cool, and I'm really impressed with how you're thinking about today and the future. So thank you.
Thanks, Florence. Appreciate you coming for a bit.
Sure. Nice kind of seeing everybody. Bye.
My company is definitely focused on sustainability right now, and then also other electrical distribution manufacturers. That's like the huge push right now. It's the buzz terms. I was wondering if that could be sort of put into that maybe supply chain also and logistics management maybe portion. But I think somehow incorporating sustainability is definitely important. I think it's a little tougher to define because different companies are looking at it in a different way. But yes, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I think resilience is definitely something when we look at supply chain, but also in a manufacturing environment. How do we become more resilient in the face of increasing things like extreme weather events or forest fires or things like that? And then the whole idea of sort of mitigation or adaptation to sort of the changing climate and maybe the shifting populations and the shifting use of land related to like agriculture. So there's actually a lot there. It's very difficult to think how to build it into the curriculum unless it's just infused into everything, but we have a hard time doing that. So, yeah.
So do you have to do that right now, or can you just like put like big brackets, sustainability, those types of things on and kind of determine that criteria later?
So what we need is on January 27th, we need to have a list of classes with units and names. And then we also have to have a flow chart. So we do sort of have to have a class if we want to cover it in a particular class. And then by June, we need to get all the details of every single class put together. But in January, we need titles and numbers and units. So it's actually, I don't know if you're able to watch that video, but it talked about, we're looking at 2026, but we kind of need to be done in January of this year. So it's a little bit quick for us. Yeah, but we could the problem with adding courses is that then the curriculum needs to accommodate the extra units because we can't go over the units we have right now. That's kind of why project management got dropped out of the required courses, because we needed to make room for data analytics previously. It's a puzzle.
Yeah, I think you guys have done a great job with it. And I think I'm sure the college and university understands there's got to be some flexibility, especially in the technical electives, to make sure that you're adapting to meet future needs. And I guess we need to reserve the right to swap out some tech electives, and maybe we do that on a couple between now and 2026. But yeah, I think you guys have done a great job getting this thing rolling.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I think we'll have a lot of fun classes and technical electives. The only problem is they can only take like 2 or 3 classes in technical electives. Just, it would be nicer if there was more flexibility in that. Another thing that, just so you know, that what we're working under is we have these 3 categories of courses: the major courses, which are the IME courses, support courses, which are math and other sciences, and then general ed. And you can see there's a real blankness in the general ed. Nothing's in here because the general ed is actually changing. And we are imagining we'll have 3 less units required of general ed, but no one really knows where or what that's going to happen. And we're probably not going to know that until 2024 or 2025. So we're kind of a little bit blind in this general ed area, just in case you're wondering why that's completely blank. A little bit silly, but it's what we are doing. So any comments on, I'm going to stop sharing. I guess I'm just wondering about process.
Can I inject one thing here, Liz?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I think the topic around sustainability is kind of, we have to do something and offer something. And I think that's a great IAB topic in December, is to how do we fit that in? Where do we fit that in? And where do we make it prominent enough to be able to flex and add more to it, or determine how that fits overall? Because I really do believe that it's probably one of the, I'll call it one of the leading edge type things that are going to be happening that we have to address down the road.
Yeah, that would be a good thing to talk about potentially. So our process going forward is we wanted to present this to you, and then we're going to also present it to students to see what they think of it. And then we're just going through various iterations as we check with other departments, and we check about ABET, we consider transfer students, all of those things. Do you think there's anything else you can think of that we should do process-wise to sort of vet this a little bit better?
What about recent alumni or recent graduates? Seeing, how much of the coursework was applied and not, and what are they missing?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, they're the ones with sort of the best memory of the whole thing, yeah.
As far as the alumni from IE that I keep in touch with still, I would say that slight increase around the process and process improvement fundamentals, supply chain, production management. Those are like typically everyone's favorite classes. So, I mean, having an increase there, I think is positive. I don't know a single IE person, and it's been a while, but who didn't love those classes and find them extremely valuable.
That's good. That's good. That's super helpful, because I think I was a little bit worried about increasing that part of the curriculum, but I agree. It's like fundamental IE work.
Yeah, I think that gets people excited across people who start in the major, transfer into the major. I don't know anyone who didn't like those.
Well, that's probably because you had me for a teacher in those classes. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
Yeah, that's great. Definitely. And I'm happy that your facilities classes is moving to earlier, because I don't even think I had you until the end. And I think just like some of those relationships that students can build with all of the faculty members earlier is very valuable.
Yeah, for sure. That's good to remember. Okay. This is great. I like everybody's comments. And I mean, if there's nothing else, we'll probably revisit this again at the IAB meeting in December to see where we are. Anyone else have anything to add or question? Okay. I so appreciate you all showing up. It's super helpful. And we're going to have a recording of this so that we can review it with other faculty and potentially other IAB members. So thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Liz and team.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
That was a